Together is a new horror movie that is out this week and stars Dave Franco and Alison Brie and is written and directed by Michael Shanks. And in this movie, Tim and Millie, played by Franco and Brie, are a couple who seem to be having some, issues here and there. And when they move to a new place, it seems like there's some kind of force that exists that is bringing them closer together. Though not exactly in the way that you'd expect. Some ways it's kind of horrific and it can be pretty intense, and that's all I'm gonna say because I actually don't want to give you guys too many spoilers. I went into this pretty blind actually. I didn't want to talk too much about the plot and the synopsis in general because I want to give you guys a chance to discover it for yourselves. I was excited for this movie though because I am a big fan of Dave Franco and Alison Brie. They are a real life couple in fact, and that was something that made the idea of this movie already very interesting. Because getting to see how things will play out, there was this already very meta sense to it going into the movie. But I'm also a fan of the actors in general. I feel like the work that they've done in movies before or TV shows before has been a lot of fun, and I've been pretty consistently entertained by everything that they've made. And I think that's something that comes through in spades over here. Bringing them together to make some of the things happen in this movie was a really great idea. And some of those moments where the two of them have to figure out what the hell is happening and just have to sort of, fight against it, which is extremely fun, but also extremely gnarly and incredibly uncomfortable at times. I think Shanks directs it well, and the two of them are giving great performances and making those scenes even more believable. Perhaps because of that meta sense, again, because they're a real life couple. So to just see them going through certain, scenarios together and trying to, make things work, it does feel like this, between them, the conversations just seem so much more believable at times, and the back and forth between them feels a lot more genuine in those moments. So, props to that particular, choice over there. And I think Shanks' direction is great. When it comes to some of those more intense moments, and when you get to see what kind of, body horror stuff is being, utilized in certain sequences, one in particular being a very... I don't know how to describe it, but there is a specific scene in the movie where you kind of know what's about to happen because the way that scene is set up, it's like, I feel like it's going to lead to this situation. And it does lead to a specific situation. And it's the kind of scene that I was thinking is like, you could do whatever you want over here, and they pretty much did whatever they could with that. Like, I'm sounding very vague about this, but when you see the scene, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll know which scene I'm referring to as to how they pull that off. There's some great practical effects and, stuff over there that's been used, and some really great moments where, you really get to see some very physical work from the two of them as well. So much of the movie is revolving around that. There are other aspects too when it comes to the storytelling and when it comes to the characterization, which I think both of them do a pretty good job with as well. And I do appreciate that even the story and the way that the movie progresses, for the most part, does embrace exactly what it's showing also. Like, there is a self-awareness to what's happening, and some of the moments are very much played in that over-the-top sense of, we know what we're doing. We know that some of this is very outlandish, and it very much commits to that. It's why also there's a few moments where there's some comedy to them, and there's some genuine laughs to be had. And I do credit the fact that the movie does have the skill to make that happen in the most efficient way. It makes some scenes incredibly entertaining to watch, even if the most crazy stuff is happening as those scenes are progressing. Though it does kind of hit some shaky ground every now and then when it comes to explaining some of it, because in those moments it does become a little more serious, but also I feel like it doesn't spend enough time in making those things breathe as much. Like, when you do start to learn a bit more about what's going on and what exactly is causing everything to happen to them, the movie does address it, but it doesn't spend as much time with it as I would have liked it to. And I feel like in that place it did suffer a bit, and it's something that I would have liked a bit more of. And because there is a fascinating mythos to some of this, and that could have been interesting. And when it comes to some of the themes and ideas that it's playing around with when it comes to relationships and the dynamic of two people being together and love in general, there are some very direct things that it goes for. It's very clear what this movie is trying to say when it comes to relationships and just the pros and cons, if you will, when it comes to some things that happen. Sometimes it can be very unsubtle when it comes to showcasing those, particular aspects. And it makes it so clear oftentimes that I thought you can kind of dial that back a bit. It's like, I already know what you're trying to do. It already makes sense. But regardless of all of that, I still think Together is a really, really great time. I had a blast watching it, and there are so many moments in here that I feel like are going to be a blast for a lot of audiences to see it too. Some scenes feel like they're primed for a very loud audience reaction or something. So I'm very curious what happens when the movie does open in theaters this week. I'm very curious to hear stories of what people's experiences are with the movie. But for my money's worth, I would say it's a pretty good time, and I'm going to give Together an 8 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.